She handed me a 3-page contract saying I couldn't have a boyfriend because it would distract me from raising her kids. Honey, grab a glass of wine, make it a bottle, because the level of entitlement I'm about to spill is going to raise your blood pressure. We are talking about a sister who didn't just ask for a favor. She tried to draft me into indentured servitude and legally forbid me from having a love life. Let me tell you how we got here. My sister, let's call her Vanessa, had 3 kids in 4 years with a guy named Mark who decided fatherhood wasn't his vibe and took off when the youngest was 6 months old. I stepped up immediately, obviously. That's what family does, right? I was 25, working full-time as a physical therapist, and I had my own apartment about 10 minutes from Vanessa's place. For 2 years, I was the MVP. Every morning before I went to work, I'd stop by to help wrestle the kids into their clothes for school and daycare. Every evening, I'd pick them up so Vanessa could work late at her accounting firm. Weekends, I was taking them to the park so she could clean, rest, or just stare at a wall in silence. I loved those kids like they were my own. Seriously. They called me auntie, fought over who got to sit next to me, and gave me sticky hugs that ruined my silk blouses, and I didn't even mind. Vanessa would thank me constantly, telling me she'd be drowning without me. We had a system. It worked. It was love. Then Vanessa got promoted to senior accountant, and something in her brain chemistry must have snapped. She stopped calling me auntie. She stopped calling me her helper. She started introducing me to people as her backup parent. At a barbecue, a neighbor asked how she managed, and she pointed at me and said, "Oh, I have a built-in childcare solution. That's my backup parent." Excuse me? When the school needed emergency contact info, she listed me as secondary guardian without asking. When the pediatrician asked about family medical history, Vanessa told the nurse, "Just put her down as the second parent. She's basically raising them anyway." I tried to laugh it off. I thought it was a joke, a weird, unfunny coping mechanism. But then the demands started getting specific. Vanessa informed me, didn't ask, informed me that I needed to adjust my work schedule because the kids needed pickup at 2:30 p.m. now instead of 3 p.m. Just dropped that on me like I didn't have actual patients with broken ACLs waiting for me. When I told her I couldn't rearrange my entire professional life on a whim, she hit me with, "Backup parents make sacrifices, my name." Then she started dropping them off at my apartment without warning. I'd come home from a long shift to find 3 kids sitting on my doormat with a note saying Vanessa had an emergency meeting. The emergency? Usually drinks with coworkers. She even gave the school my address as a secondary residence. But the nuclear explosion happened when I met David. I met David at my gym. He's a firefighter. He has a smile that could stop traffic. And he's just nice. Normal. We went on a few dates, and I was floating. I was happy. Vanessa found out when she went through my phone while I was playing Legos with the kids. Yes, she went through my texts. She lost her absolute mind. She sat me down and said I couldn't date. Why? Because the kids needed stability, and bringing random men around would confuse them. I told her, "Vanessa, I haven't even introduced him to the kids yet. We've been on 3 dates." She said that wasn't the point. She said, but the point is you need to be available at all times. Dating is a distraction. You made a commitment to this family as the backup parent, and chasing some man is breaking that commitment. She literally told her children, my nieces and nephew, that Auntie might not be around as much because she's choosing a stranger over you. My 6-year-old nephew looked at me with tears in his eyes and asked, "Why don't you love us anymore?" I saw red. I saw absolute crimson. That is when Vanessa pulled out the schedule. She had printed out, on heavy cardstock, mind you, a literal hour-by-hour schedule of when she needed me to watch the kids for the next 3 months. It included overnight stays, full weekends, and 2 weeks straight in the summer so she could go on a work retreat that I later found out was optional. At the bottom of the page, there was a signature line. She had typed out a clause stating that by signing, I acknowledged my duties as backup parent and understood that dating is not compatible with this role. I asked if she was serious. She said, Single parents don't get social lives, so why should you? If you don't sign this, I'll have to find strangers to watch the kids, and they'll hate it, and it will be your fault for abandoning them. If you are already shook, hit that like button, because I haven't even gotten to the petty part yet. I looked at her. I looked at that ridiculous piece of paper, and I realized she didn't see me as a sister anymore. She saw me as a co-parent she didn't have to have sex with or pay, so I signed it, and then I started following it. Exactly. Monday morning. The schedule said, morning childcare duty starts at 6:00 a.m. I pulled up to Vanessa's house at exactly 5:59 a.m. The sky was pitch black. The street was silent. I sat in my car, staring at the digital clock until it hit 6 Hawaii. I grabbed my coffee mug, used my spare key, and walked in. The house was dead silent. No lights, no movement. The kids don't wake up until 6:30. Vanessa usually gets up at 6:45, but the schedule said 6. I walked into the living room, sat on the couch in the dark, and waited. At 6:15, I heard footsteps. Vanessa came down in her bathrobe, looking like a zombie, and froze when she saw a silhouette on her sofa. She shrieked. "What are you doing here?" she yelled. I held up my coffee mug and the printed schedule. Morning childcare duty begins at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. It's Monday. It's 6 called. She stared at me. The kids aren't even awake. I nodded. I know, but the schedule says 6 miles, so I'm here. She rubbed her face, looking annoyed. Well, what are you supposed to do for the next 30 minutes? I checked the paper. It doesn't specify duties for this time block, just presence, so I'm present. She went to the kitchen to make coffee, slamming cabinet doors. I sat there, scrolling on my phone. At 6:30, the kids woke up, and I sprang into action, doing the routine exactly as I always did. But the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. At 7:15, I loaded the kids into my car. As I was walking out, Vanessa called out, "What time will you be back for pickup?" I checked the schedule. 2 p.m., like it says here. School doesn't end until 3 r. I know, I said, smiling sweetly, but the schedule says 2, so I'll be here at 2. Her face went red, but she couldn't say anything because she wrote the schedule. I drove to work. My first patient wasn't until 8:30, so I was early. Tuesday, same thing. 6 a.m. sharp, sitting in the dark. Vanessa was waiting for me this time, looking haggard. The afternoon pickups were where it got spicy. Since the schedule said 2 p.m., I started leaving work at 1:30. I had to reschedule patients. My supervisor, Dr. Aries, noticed. I would drive to the school and sit in the empty parking lot for an hour. Just me and the tumbleweeds. The school secretary came out on Tuesday and knocked on my window, asking if I was okay. I told her, just following the schedule. She looked at me like I needed a psych eval. Thursday afternoon, Dr. Aris called me into his office. He's been my boss for 3 years. Super chill guy. He sat me down and said, "Look, your schedule has become chaotic. You're leaving early. You're distracted. Is everything okay?" I pulled out Vanessa's schedule and handed it to him. He read it. He looked at the no dating clause. He looked at the hours. He looked at me and said, "This is exploitation. This has a name, and it isn't family. This is abusive." Hearing him say it, it broke something in me. I started crying right there in his office. He told me I needed to fix this, or my job was on the line. I told him I was handling it. I went back to the malicious compliance. The schedule said evening childcare, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. That night, I was at Vanessa's house. I made dinner, helped with homework. At exactly 7:59 p.m., I put on my coat. Vanessa wasn't home yet. She was stuck at work. The 6-year-old asked, "Where are you going?" "My shift ends at 8, buddy." I texted Vanessa, leaving at 8 as scheduled. I walked out the door, locked it, and drove away. My phone rang before I even hit the main road. Vanessa was screaming, "You left the kids alone? I'm 10 minutes away." "The schedule says 8 p.m., I said calmly. "It doesn't say 8 p.m. or whenever Vanessa gets home. It says 8 hours." You are being petty and ridiculous. You can't leave children alone. Do you want me to follow the schedule you made me sign or not? Silence. Then, through gritted teeth, yes, follow the schedule. Great. See you at 6 a.m. Make sure you're subscribed because the update I'm about to drop is going to make you scream into your pillow. Saturday morning, the schedule said Vanessa had the kids. My phone rang at 9:01 a.m. It was David. He asked if I wanted breakfast. I said yes. We spent the whole day together. I didn't think about the schedule once until my phone buzzed. Vanessa asking if I could take the kids Sunday because she had plans. I texted back, Sunday isn't on the schedule. She sent 3 angry emojis, then 17 missed calls. I didn't answer a single one. Monday morning, 6 a.m., I walk up to the door. There is a new schedule taped to the front door. She had scribbled notes all over it in red pen. Next to 6 a.m., she wrote, obviously this means be ready to help, not sit around. Next to 2 p.m., or earlier if I text you, use common sense. And at the bottom, she added a paragraph about how the schedule was flexible, and I should interpret it with the kids' best interests in mind. I took a photo of it. Then I peeled it off the door, crumpled it up, and threw it in her recycling bin. When she opened the door, she looked smug. Did you see the addendum? I signed one contract, Vanessa. That's the only one I'm following. She started screaming that I was being difficult on purpose. I walked past her, poured coffee, and sat on the couch to wait for the kids. By Wednesday, she was cracking. She showed up at my clinic during my lunch break. My receptionist looked terrified. Vanessa stormed into the break room, face flushed, shaking. Why are you doing this? She demanded. You are punishing me for setting boundaries. I took a bite of my sandwich. I'm not punishing you. I'm following your rules. You wanted a backup parent employee. Employees follow schedules. If the schedule doesn't work for you, maybe the schedule is the problem. You are humiliating me, she yelled. My coworkers were watching through the glass. Fiona, my boss, asked me why my child care situation is so volatile. You are messing with my career. And you are messing with mine, I said, standing up. Dr. Aris is about to fire me because of your demands. You want to talk about careers? Let's talk about the fact that I have one. She stormed out. That night, I sat down with a calculator. I did the math. Morning duties, 10 hours week. Afternoon, evening, 30 hours week. Weekends, 15 hours. Total, 55 hours a week. She was demanding 55 hours of unpaid labor on top of my 40-hour job. I was working a 95-hour work week. I showed the math to David. He looked at it, looked at me, and said, Honey, that's not a sister. That's a sweatshop owner. Friday came. The breaking point. I was at home enjoying a rare moment of silence when someone pounded on my door. It was Vanessa. She had the kids and 2 suitcases. She pushed past me, shoving an overnight bag into my chest. I have an emergency work trip. I need you to take them for the weekend. I looked at the kids. They looked scared. My heart broke for them, but I knew if I caved now, I would never get my life back. I pointed to the fridge where the schedule was taped. Weekend duty isn't on the schedule. It's an emergency, she screamed. On family helps family. Family doesn't treat family like unpaid employees they can ban from dating, I said, my voice shaking. I won't be manipulated anymore. She whipped out her phone and called our mother. She put it on speaker. Mom, she won't take the kids. She's refusing to help and I'm going to lose my job. My mother, who usually stays out of it, asked to speak to me. I took the phone. Mom, I said, she is demanding 55 hours a week of childcare. She banned me from dating. She calls me the backup parent. I am done. There was a long silence. Then Mom said, Is that true, Vanessa? Vanessa started sobbing. She's exaggerating. She's choosing a man over us. Vanessa, Mom said, her voice dropping an octave. Get in the car. Bring the kids to my house. You and I need to have a come-to-Jesus meeting about entitlement. Vanessa turned pale. She dragged the kids out of my apartment, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. The fallout. That weekend, Mom kept the kids. She called me and apologized. She said she'd been enabling Vanessa by smoothing things over for years, but the dating ban contract was psychotic, and she wasn't going to defend it. Tuesday morning, I got a text from Vanessa, a novel, 4 screens long. She accused me of humiliating her in front of Mom. She said I made her look like a bad parent. She said if I didn't want to help, I should have just said so instead of playing games. I sent back one message. I am willing to help 2 days a week for pickup and 1 weekend afternoon. That is 5 hours total. You need to hire a nanny for the other 50 hours. I will never sign a contract again. I will never be called backup parent again. Take it or leave it. Silence for 3 days. Update 1. 2 weeks later. I was nervous. I thought she might cut me off from the kids entirely. But on Thursday she called. Her voice was small. She agreed to the terms. Why? Because she looked into hiring a nanny for the hours she was demanding from me and realized it would cost her more than her mortgage. She finally understood the value of what she was stealing from me. We had a mediation at Mom's house. A friend of the family, Dr. Evans, sat with us. I showed him the schedule. When he saw the no dating clause, he actually laughed out loud. He apologized, but he said, "This isn't a parenting plan. This is a hostage situation." Vanessa cried. She admitted she was terrified of doing it alone, and she was trying to control me because she felt out of control of her life. We signed a new agreement. Not a contract. A boundary list. I am auntie, not backup parent. I help when I can, not when demanded. My dating life is none of her business. Update 2. Months later. Vanessa hired a part-time nanny named Mrs. Higgins. Mrs. Higgins is a saint who charges $25 an hour, and Vanessa is suddenly the best part. I picked up my nephew for our scheduled and agreed upon park time last week. We were eating ice cream, and he looked at me and said, "Auntie, you're not grumpy anymore." I asked him what he meant. He said, "When you used to pick us up every day, you looked sad. Now you look happy." Oof, out of the mouths of babes. Final update, the resolution. David and I are going away for a weekend trip to the coast next month. I texted Vanessa to let her know I wouldn't be around for my usual Saturday shift. Old Vanessa would have melted down. New Vanessa texted back, "Have fun. Mrs. Higgins is covering. Send pics." So, I got my life back. I kept the guy, and my sister is finally learning that family means support, not slavery. But I have to ask you guys, was I too petty with the malicious compliance? Should I have just quit earlier? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more drama I hopefully won't be involved in.